So, this is a story about an international student who came to the US to study computer science. When he realized in his first semester he was getting B's and C's and he was almost failing his classes. And when COVID hit. So, after COVID, everyone went back home. And he didn't. What he did was he stayed back, he kept coding, and working on his extracurricular activities. Fast forwarding, he gets a LinkedIn message from a recruiter from Facebook saying, let's work. How interesting is that? Yeah, Facebook recruiter messaging you. So he starts working at Facebook as an intern. One day his manager comes to him and says, there are very slim chances of you getting hired as a full-time. Why? Because the market has crashed. Everyone's getting laid off. So he gets scared, but he keeps working on his things. He works overtime and he puts his all work in it. Finally, he gets hired by Facebook at the time when everyone was getting laid. How interesting is that? So what happens after that is, wait, why not see the video? He's explaining the story himself. But there's a twist to it. It's a Zoom interview. He's in San Francisco and I'm in Atlanta, so we cannot meet. But I have a solution for that. I'm gonna put all the timestamps below. You can just go to the timestamp, watch whatever you want, because even if you learn 1% from today, you're on the right track. So let's get straight to the video.
Yes, so I was stalking you on LinkedIn, definitely, and I found out that you had an on-campus job. How hard is it as an international student to find an on-campus job? And does it help you pay your bills?
So I had a couple of jobs in university. I worked in the campus dining and services exactly one day. And I was 17 at that time. I didn't knew that you cannot work when you are 17. So they basically told me that you cannot work, and I started working. After that, I went to UBIT. It's a student service. And I think after that, I started taking research positions and teaching assistant positions. So you need to keep moving forward with every job. The next job should be a step up. You cannot remain at the same level and think you are at the comfort zone. So after that, I started doing my internships. My first internship was at Memory Fox. It's a startup in Buffalo, great company. After that, Sark and Wayne, a mid-sized company in Buffalo. And after that, I interned at Meta. So that was my journey throughout my college and a couple of jobs in between.
So how did you get your internships? What would you say is the process? I know it's hard to get internships.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Sure. You need to keep a close eye on the emails that you're getting. Every university have some sort of mailing list for opportunities like these. My first internship was through one of these emails, and I reached out to the CEO directly, funny. And they offered me an internship after 2 rounds of interviews. My second internship was also a similar process, but in that case, someone else reached out to me. So that helped a lot. And you have to be prepared for interviews. For small companies, it's much harder. For mid-sized company, it's probably fine. For large-sized company, it's again very hard. So you need to keep a balance.
Fair enough. So how would you say your journey was to Facebook? Did you apply for the internship for Meta, or how was the process?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So when I was working in I tried to do a couple of startups when I was at the university, and I wouldn't call them startups. I would call them personal projects, because I used to build something and I called my friend saying, oh, can you sell this? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we had a program named Blackstone Launchpad. They helped us make connections. And I started posting on LinkedIn, and a recruiter reached out to me saying, oh, I like your project, and do you want to work at Meta? And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. So I kind of applied, but I didn't give them my resume forefront. And then I started the recruiter call. After that, 3 rounds of interviews, all of them were technical, and then I got hired for the internship. And my internship was going on, and I got the job offer, which is a different story.
So that's funny. Like a recruiter reached out to you, let's go work at Meta. That's actually inspirational. So how would you say that happened? Like, was it because of LinkedIn? And how did you manage your LinkedIn? What are the tips you would like to give?
Um, I'm not a professional in LinkedIn management. I don't consciously post. When something fun happens or I find some good thing on LinkedIn, I just post it, or my personal projects and my life journey on LinkedIn. So it kind of tells a story about a person. For example, if you try to mimic that you do a lot of projects, then your LinkedIn will say it, or your GitHub will say it. But if you genuinely post on LinkedIn when you're doing projects, the recruiter understands that, oh, this guy does project all the time and he does some open source contribution. They will reach out to you because they want those type of people who work on projects.
So moving on to your journey, full-time journey.
Mhm.
How did you get a full-time at Facebook? How did that happen?
Yeah. So I did my internship last year, 2022 summer, and the market was pretty stable when I started my internship. And then suddenly in August, everything came crashing down because of the after effects of COVID. So the company decided to stop giving the job offers to most of the people. And there were about 5,000 interns working at Facebook at that time, and only 500 or 300 of them got the offer. So it was a big battle, uphill battle. My manager walked up to me and said, "Oh, you're not gonna get an offer here. Like, it's so hard. You need to get a greatly exceed rating to get an offer, which is pretty difficult to do." And I talked with a couple of my friends. Everyone was disheartened about it, but I believe everything worked out perfectly fine. Just focus on what you can control, man.
Okay, so your manager said that it's hard for you to get an internship, but you still got it. What would be the reason?
Yeah, my manager was saying in a general sense because we all got an email saying we won't be giving out return offers. So my manager had 5 or 6 interns under him, and he told the same thing to everyone that don't expect a return offer because it's really hard to get. So if you don't get it, there shouldn't be any surprises. So that was probably the reason, but I think you just need to sometimes put your head down and keep believing that you need to work and you need to make that impact, and then everything will, all puzzle pieces will come together.
So tell us a little bit about your interview experience. When you were
Mhm.
doing for full time, did you have to give an interview again? And how was the interview? How many rounds did you go through?
No. So at Meta or Facebook, when you do an internship, you don't have to give any interviews, but your performance should tell that you deserve a full-time offer. So for me, I was working sometimes after hours as well from my own belief and from my own interests in the project that I was working on. And yeah, it's funny that you have to give interviews during internship, which are not as hard as full time, but you have to perform really well during the internship to get a return offer.
Okay, so you didn't give an interview for full time, but you got it through the internship. Can
Yes,
you tell us a little bit about the internship interview? How was
sure.
it and how many rounds? What
Yeah.
questions are to be expected?
Mhm. Yeah. So for all the computer science people out there, my role at the internship was as a front end engineer and or slash full stack engineer. So my questions were very much focused on the front end side of things or full stack side of things, not as much as machine learning and system design kind of stuff. Um, so first round was a phone call interview. I got a phone call from recruiter, and I had to answer a bunch of questions, and they all were pretty theoretical questions, not any programming. My second round was technical interview, where I had to kind of code in front of the interviewer, and they judge based on how you communicate, which is really important. You have to tell every single thing that you are going through in your mind. And if you do that perfectly, then the next round will be another coding interview where there will be a step up on the type of questions they ask. And the final round is sometimes called system design, sometimes called behavioral, where they try to understand your thinking and your work habits. So there were 3 interview rounds and 1 phone call.
Was there a time you weren't able to answer any question? If there was, what is the correct answer to give?
Yes. So my final round had 1 question on LRU cache, which is considered one of the hardest questions in the computer science. And I don't know why the interviewer chose to ask me that question, but I wasn't able to give the complete answer. I wasn't able to code it. But what was in my hands was to explain the process of how I'm thinking about it at that time, because I just had 10 minutes. So there was no way I could code it. And the interviewer was pretty satisfied with it. So I guess it worked out.
So you would say doing something is better than doing nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you explain, when you're working in a job or at a company like this, your thought process matters more than what you can code. So if you can think about it, you can code. But if you cannot think about it, you cannot code. So they are mostly looking for a thinking process, and then comes the coding round. So many people are good in coding, but they don't know how to solve problems. You need to be best of both worlds.
Good. So one thing, last words you would like to tell our viewers, especially the CS students. I've heard a lot about the lead code, GitHub and stuff. So what would you say? Keep coding day and night?
Yeah, sure. I'm just kidding. No, don't lead code day and night. That will ruin your brain. See, lead coding is important for people who want to think algorithmically, solve problems within a given time frame. I would say focus 30% of your attention on doing personal projects in your given time, because that way you will try to understand how the companies work, how they think, and you'll be able to perform better. Lead coding is definitely important. You won't be able to crack the interview without lead code. I can tell that pretty confidently. So you need to do lead code, but you also need to learn how to do other projects.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prakshal, for coming on this interview. I hope it's going to be a big success and people will definitely learn from your experiences. Thank you so
Sure.
much. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
I hope the video was informative, even if it made this much difference. Go in the description, there's his portfolio link, just play around with it, see what he did different. Also, there's a $1,000 off on Tesla referral link down. So please go there. And until next time, I'll see you. I'm gonna bring more people on this channel, more interesting people. So, bye-bye.